closet. Let's go. The dire wolves are fucking back. Or are they?
Or are they?
We're gonna find out today. But
They're not?
Well, this is the thing. We're gonna figure it out.
It's a developing story.
It's developing.
Is it all fake?
Well,
it's all AI.
first, we must welcome them to the Reptiles With Podcast and let them know to like, subscribe, share with your reptile-loving friends, become a member, and all that jazz. Let's just talk about this fucking dire wolf
hurry
thing.
up, do all that shit. Listen.
Yeah, listen. This is fucking sick. Okay? These are the cutest little wolves.
Little.
Well, in the photo, they're little. And then then there's another photo, and then they're big, but they're little guys right now. They're the cutest fucking things ever. Okay? Eric, what's going on with these dire wolves?
All right, so I'm sure you guys remember Colossal. Those are the guys.
Yes.
Working with mammoth stuff and thylacine stuff, and
They're bringing it back.
they're doing the Jurassic Park stuff.
Yes, Colossal
And
is that.
This was news to me because I didn't know that they were working with stuff with a dire wolf or whatever. Apparently, they pooped out some dire wolves that were born in October 2024. I've been passively, very passively following what they've been up to, mostly for the thylacine stuff, because I think it's interesting to see what they're doing. And they pooped out these dire wolves, and it's like, whoa, like, is this for real? Like, when you guys sent it to me, I thought that was fake. I was like, there's no way that this actually happened.
I had to check the day that it was released. I was like, was this on April 1st? Like,
I looked for the same thing. I was like, no way. And then I looked it up. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is weird. I still am not really processing it. I'm like, wow, what a fucking world that we live in right now.
Yeah.
So the can of worms that whole company opened up is immense. And we could probably talk about this for years because there's so many nuances and there's so many just ethical, moral things to it. There's so many scientific things we could talk about with it. And just a whole world of shit has that... A whole world of shit has been opened up, not with the dire wolves, but the company itself, because they've been working with the stuff beforehand.
Yeah.
So basically what ended up happening after the dire wolves went public, the CEO of Colossal came on the Rogan podcast and pretty much spoke his thing. They talked about how that came to be, basically, and they talked a little bit about how Colossal is made and how they're kind of working with investors and stuff. And something that really was interesting to me, and which kind of makes sense as to how this all happened in the first place, is that it's private. So it's all private investors. It's all private people who are putting money into this company aside from the general education and whole field, academia and stuff like that, like the scientists and all that.
This is a private practice.
Exactly. And something that they were talking about as they continue to talk is one of the things that kind of slows down science is the constant bickering and ego chasing that a lot of scientists end up going through. I'm not saying all scientists are like that, but
it is a stereotype.
It is a stereotype, and it is something that happens a lot because they're very focused on, making small advancements in a specific subject, when in this case, they're like, listen, guys, that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to compile everything and try to figure something out. And a lot of scientists and all that stuff weren't really into that. So I thought that was interesting. It's a very private, everything that they've been doing is all privately funded and all that stuff. And they are working with scientists. Don't get me wrong. They are very close with all this stuff, but they're not doing things the way that you would have expected or other scientists would be comfortable with them doing. So
something that they talk a lot about on that episode with the CEO or COO? One of the C's. One of the C's.
The guy.
The guy from the Colossus and whatnot.
The Colossus.
He was saying, he's like, he's talking about conservation. He's talking about preservation. And he's talking about what kind of ecological impact bringing these animals can have in a positive way, which is one of the things that they are working on is the woolly mammoth. Bringing back the woolly mammoth. They said that reintroducing it to where it was should help something or other, right? Not a fucking scientist. Let's start with that.
And something to be noted too, the guy who's running Colossal is also not a scientist.
Yeah.
He was saying he was like an entrepreneur and stuff. And he's basically, what he was saying is he gets the smart people. He grabs the smart people.
He's good at doing what an entrepreneur does.
Yes,
is bringing the team together and getting funding for the thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
And just out of progress of stuff that he's done, they have the woolly gene, right? And they were able to put that into mice.
They got the mouse equivalent of the Willy gene.
Yeah,
and pretty
yeah.
much
So
proved out a small point.
Yeah, they proved their genetic testing they made mice that are hairy as fuck, pretty much. And something that I like that he said is that zoos want them, museums want them, and he's like, well, we don't want them to go in. They're not for private sectors and stuff like that. Like maybe we'll give one to the museum because like it's a museum and it'd be nice to have a display, but that we take very good care of the animals. They have very nice digs. They're well taken care of, and it was just to prove that we are able to do the thing, and they're not. It really does seem like they are not trying to exploit the situation.
Yeah.
They're trying to do some positivity, some positive things, whether it's from preservation or conservation, and to the point where like a lot of the stuff that they're creating is open source, which means anybody can do it.
And that was something else that I thought was super, super like interesting and really important in the whole conservation aspect. Because when we're talking about this stuff, like bringing back mammoths and working with dire wolves and all that stuff, I keep thinking in my head, like, but what is this really doing for conservation? This seems like a really, really difficult way to come up with a solution. And then I was like, okay, as I watched more and as I kind of listened more, I'm like, I can start seeing the point, and I'm still trying to get the point. I'm still looking into it a lot more, but I did really like how like all the research and all the things that they're doing is going to be available for free for all the projects that they're into, because they are working with specific conservation projects. The one that he was talking about there was, I think it was the northern white rhino. And all that information, all that work and all the lab stuff that they use, it's all open for them to use. Like we're
some
here
of it,
to make this happen, basically.
It does seem like some of it is just like the preservation of the species. For example, the dire wolf in this situation, and then on the other end, and it was clear to me as he was saying that he understands what the difference, whether it's conservation and the preservation is. Right, preservation is the species about to die out or the species no longer around. Now it is because of what they have. The conservation is like what they're trying to do with the woolly mammoth, saying that like bringing these animals back can have a positive outcome in the ecology of the area where they would be.
And they also did go over something that we literally saw as time progressed when gray wolves were released back into their native ranges, because for a long time elk kind of ruined the flow because their predator was gone. So all the sick stuff was staying around, spreading diseases.
And coyotes spread.
I love that point, which I really do want to talk about that, but
we'll get
it's really
there,
interesting.
Yeah,
because
they talk about the red wolf hybridizing with the coyote.
Yes, and that's another thing. They did do sort of what they did with the dire wolf with red wolves already. That was a thing that I didn't know that. They cloned a red wolf straight up.
Yeah.
They've cloned a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah, that I didn't know about.
Black-footed ferrets.
I'm going to clone you.
They've
Okay.
cloned fucking goats. They started with goats and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was stuff that I didn't really know. I was like, oh, so
you
they
could
have
clone
been
your
doing this for a
dog
long time.
right now.
I don't want to do that. That's
I'm just saying
crazy.
you can.
I know.
You don't have to.
I know.
But
God.
you should. I'm just saying.
I
If
think
you really
someone
love her,
I think someone wants to clone their dog.
I'll clone the shit out of Luna, bro.
Do you know if you
I
clone
can't.
them, like it's not the same animal?
I know.
right?
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be a great movie,
A
though.
boy can wish.
That would be a
boy
great
can dream.
movie. Cloning your dog.
Yeah. Marley
Great
and
Pixar
Me,
movie.
Part 2.
Part 2. Marley and Me, too.
Anyways.
Oh, my God.
Colossus.
Shadow of the
Dire
Colossus. So, okay, so we're talking about that they've already done this before.
Yeah.
They were just now implementing this stuff with a dire wolf. I don't even think we've talked about the dire wolves themselves.
All right, talk about
So,
the dire
yeah,
wolves.
yeah.
Talk to me about this dire wolf, bro.
They look different.
What do you mean different?
So,
like the animals that they made.
yes,
Okay.
there is something off about those wolves. Because at first, when I first saw the pictures, like, that's just a white wolf, you know? It's just a big ass white wolf. The white wolf.
Bucky Barnes.
It's literally just Bucky Barnes, just like
Yeah.
in the distance. But then I looked closer and I saw the pictures of them as like young.
when they
young-
got a little bit older.
Yeah, they're not
Juveniles?
adults yet, but they're getting there.
Yeah.
They have a mane.
They have a mane, which was
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like it's so fucking cool. Like
This
we're
is your
literally,
time. This is your time right now,
Yeah,
buddy. I know that you want to
I'm
say.
shining. I'm shining right
I'm
now.
literally quiet on
Yeah.
purpose.
No, yeah. So I was honestly a little surprised of how they look like, because I was
Yeah.
like, it looks different from a wolf, but it looks very wolf-like, because from my understanding and from what everything I've read about dire wolves prior to this, a lot of the science was saying that they were more closely related to jackals and they had their own genus of dog. And I was like, okay, interesting, because the skull and stuff wouldn't match up right. Or there's little things here and there that made them not as related to gray wolves as we thought. But then what they had mentioned on the Rogan podcast was that yeah, they said that because they only had this portion of DNA. They had a small portion of DNA that kind of didn't necessarily point to that, but you could kind of infer that because of how little DNA they had. But now that we have a bigger genome, they're like, oh, they actually are much more closely related, which it would make sense to me. I mean, they live in the same spots. They've been in the same areas for millions of years. Sure. You know, and then when I saw the pictures again, I started looking at them more. I was like, they do look really different. They have that bigger head. Their whole snout situation is different. It still looks kind of like a jackal to me. It really does, because the way that their ears are pointed, their eyes are also like, they're not like as front facing as a regular gray wolf, or at least from the picture that I saw. They're a little more turned upwards a little bit, like a jackal. Yeah. So it's like, it's interesting. They could be somewhere in between. I don't know. I'm not very familiar with how it works. They did.
Yeah, they look like an ancestor to both.
It looks not like a missing link, but it's like, I don't know. It's just really cool to see how something like that would have looked like. And I remember they did touch up on the reason why they were white. I just can't remember off the top of my head, because that was another thing that kind of threw me off. I was like, why are they all white? You know, not that white wolves don't exist, but it's like,
I think that they were
interesting.
I think what it was is that they were saying that like we have these impersonations of what these animals are supposed to look like, but it's like it totally makes sense that this animal that might be around snow often is going to be all white to blend in with the snow.
Yeah.
And not to say that the gene wasn't different at some points, but they got the genetic material out of one animal.
Yeah,
that animal was white.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah. Then since at the time of us recording this, they have 3.
Yes. Oh, and the two that were born first, there were 2 boys. They called them Remus and Romulus.
Yep.
I thought that was poetic as shit.
Why?
Because if you guys don't know who Remus and Romulus are, those are the 2 little guys that were raised by a wolf and eventually created Rome. And that's like a whole thing.
Oh shit! I did not know that.
There's like it's that iconic statue of like a wolf, literally with 2 little kids like sucking on her titties. It's a funny statue.
I don't know what that is at all.
Yeah,
but
but it's iconic. Like it's one of like the things of history.
And then the third one?
The third one is Khaleesi because of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You know, which sure, because I think the people who made Game of Thrones were big investors in it.
George
So
R. Martin, yeah.
That guy and Peter Jackson from Lord of the Rings and all that shit. And I remember on the thing they were also talking about like when they showed the footage to Peter Jackson and he was like crying and shit. It's like, dude, I would have felt the same way, because like we're literally looking at something, or at least the closest.
We'll
thing,
get there. We're gonna get to the controversy.
The closest thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I think he's gonna cry right now.
it's groundbreaking. It is really groundbreaking. I don't care if this thing isn't 100% dire wolf. I don't care if it's like it's not all the way there, but the fact that we're living in this age, that we're being able to see these things happen in front of us in real time, it's surreal.
Well,
It's
surreal. The point of Eric crying is when we see the thylacine again. He will cry.
If that ends up happening, I will dude, that'll be one of the greatest days of my life.
Yeah.
Actually, woolly rhino.
Yeah?
Woolly rhino will get me.
Anything, honestly, anything.
Woolly
Seeing
rhino
any of
would
that
take
shit.
me out.
You see what Tiki posted?
Oh yes, they need to bring that back, bro.
The gecko?
They need to bring that back.
Nah, that's just
no, bro. You don't understand that one and the Rodriguez day gecko. You know that one?
Yeah, I do. It's my day gecko.
Oh my god,
My day gecko.
You know the Williams eye?
Say it, day gecko.
You know the Williams eye? Little blue, electric
Yeah.
blue. It was that, but like the size of your fucking arm. Native to Rodriguez Island. It was one of the ones
My
next
island.
to I think it was next to Mauritius.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
Fucking humans. I don't know if it was them or not, but
All right.
that would have been cool to see. A big ass fucking day gecko, like 2 feet long.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
The issue I have with it is just bringing animals from another age
Yes.
and releasing them will
Yes.
not work.
At least in the term of the dire wolf, they did touch up on a little bit with the mammoth. I don't remember what the benefits are, but I'm also a little skeptical about that.
With the mammoth is probably with plants. So a lot of those areas need grazing, and there's no grazers anymore in those areas. So plants are not growing the way they're supposed to. So that's true also for like bison in the West. And that's true in Africa as well. In Bhutan, somebody in Bhutan, forgot the scientist's name. He started using cattle to graze. So you know a lot of places how they burn, like Cali and shit like that. Well, you need grazers to eat the grass that burns before it
took
burns.
away the grazers,
and then allows new plants to grow.
Yeah.
So it helps with less fires, and it also helps with like the habitat staying
They
alive.
touched base on a little bit of that in the podcast, and something else that they were saying is just like they don't want to bring back an animal out of extinction just because.
Yeah.
Their whole thing is like if there was something that is on the brink of extinction, we have the tools that we can help.
Yeah,
now.
like Red Wolf.
Yeah, and then it's also like if an animal needs better genetic diversity, we have the option now. If an animal is extinct because of our direct effects, like that is something that we could work on, kind of thing, you know. And even then, like these animals, they're not planning on introducing them into the wild. They have their own. They're on acres where they live.
They live a semi-wild lifestyle.
Yeah.
From what they were talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, and it's like, you know, maybe one day, if anything, but right now we're just happy that the proof is in the pudding and these animals are right here in front of us.
Yeah.
You know, what else you got? What's the next thing?
So we touched up on the.
You're good.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah, go.
You know what the next one should be?
What?
Black Wolf.
Why?
The Florida Black.
Why?
That'll be cool.
I just want to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be cool to see.
Okay.
We used to have wolves here, man. Come on.
And
Yeah,
the
like-
Reds were here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about the Reds before we continue? The Reds with the Coyotes and what's going on?
Oh
with
yes, I mean, there's been a whole taxonomic situation with them for a long time about how they were like, at one point, you know, crossbreeding with coyotes and stuff, and that's a big reason why they're distinct and whatever. But I don't know a lot of facts about that. I don't know like the
So what
science
they were
across
saying
that.
in the
I missed
episode
that.
was that there is a lot of hybridization between
Mm-hmm.
the coyotes and the red wolves. Okay, so in the majority of the red wolves right now, there is coyote DNA.
Yes.
So what they're trying to do is release like pure red wolves, so that way there's better, you know, just better samples for that animal.
Yeah.
You know, so that way they don't just become this muddled up thing, and we don't really have an actual red wolf anymore.
Well, I think we should let it happen.
Well, that's the
It is-
part of, and that's something that they talk
the
about
moral
when they talk
process.
about taxonomy and speciation. It's just like, remember, these are not nature's rules; these are our rules that we decided to make up for
Exactly.
this
And
thing.
things
So it's
are
just
changing regardless.
exactly
We
so.
caused it to happen.
So we don't know that an animal has not like hybridized over time, and then now. When we started defining these things, then that's when we said this animal is this. It's just like no. I mean, like, yes, sure, but it's these two animals. It's just over time it's happened so many times, you know. And then some people say it's like, oh, an actual species is if this species can't breed with if this animal can't breed with this animal, they're different
That's all
species.
fake.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because then it's just like we have all these species for turtles, and it's just like
No,
weird
it's
ass
all
turtles
fake.
can breed with
Yeah.
one another. Like
But
even that
within
doesn't make
science,
sense.
That is not true.
Yeah.
Within
Well,
science,
that's the thing.
the definition of a species is not real.
Well, they talk.
That's what they were talking about
yeah,
too,
they-
with a lot of the academia BS.
Yeah.
It's not all species is that whole study is so that we understand what we are talking about.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a species. There just isn't. That is just something we put there so that we can understand.
Yeah.
So there is
So-
no one definition for
Yeah.
species.
And that's the thing that people are. One of the controversy points is like people are just, you know, I don't know if we should get into that just yet because you got a lot of stuff there.
It's just more so. I mean, we went through a lot of stuff. I did want to go over like past the hype of making a dire wolf. It's like, but how else could we have used all that effort and stuff? Because that's where I started seeing. So the news came out a few days ago. It's all hype. It's all hype. It's all hype. Yeah, the wolves are cool. We're doing a lot of good work. Conservation. But like, I'm struggling to see the conservation here. Because it's like this is an animal that had its time already.
It's been going for 10,000 years.
Exactly. Debatable if it was because of us or not. I don't really think that was completely
This is
the
a
case.
preservation case. Not
This
a
is something
conservation
that
case.
like it's hard for me to. I'm having difficulty picking out the conservation values. I am picking them out because they're talking about it here and there, but it's like, what are we trying to do here? It's like
Yeah.
it's the
And even
undertones.
preservation, like what does it really do?
The
What is
undertones are
preservation?
real.
What does preservation do?
Yeah. Well,
It's just a museum for you to look at
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
It
to
does not
me-
that I
preserve
can-
anything.
to me, this was this is what I got from it. To me, this was part 2 of the woolly mouse.
Yeah,
We
I
had
mean,
we had
it's-
enough DNA of something else that it was just like, okay, this is what they said. They said with the rhino, that it takes 22 months of
well, with the elephant
for gestation.
Yeah.
Was it the elephant?
Elephants, that's elephant gestation. I would assume rhinos are very similar.
So whether it was a rhino or whether it was the elephant for the mammoth, it was 22 months. So the reason why they did the dire wolf was because the gestation was so much shorter, and they wanted to see if they can get it to go full term. Mm-hmm. And so they were able to do it.
It is. They did go over it is physically harder to do it with like a larger animal like that. Yeah. Just because it's a bigger animal, it takes a little longer to cook in the
so
embryo.
it becomes a thing where like we know mice can replicate like nothing. So now we take it the next step further, something that gestates a little bit longer, and then eventually to the bigger thing.
Yeah, the only species that they're working with that I can, at least for the most part, like really understand the value in bringing them back was the thylacine. Not because I love it, not for personal reasons, but because of what's going on down there.
Yeah,
like in Australia and in Tasmania, because like they were talking about how they did studies with like cutouts of different animals that all look the same to the naked eye. To someone who isn't paying attention, they had cat, I think they had fox or dog, and the thylacine cutout. All the animals reacted to the thylacine cutout. Yeah. Nothing reacted to anything else. So it's like it's still instilled in their head. And they were also talking about too, and this is a thing that's happened forever. Yeah, the amount of animals all over the place that in Tasmania and stuff like that, it's a lot. Yeah, I remember watching a lot of like documentaries and like just footage of stuff happening in Tasmania, and they would always talk about how much roadkill there is, just because there's so many animals everywhere. Yeah, and that is an animal that I believe would make the most sense to bring back because that is still an ecosystem that needs it. Yeah, But that's the only one that I see with a clear vision for. They did talk about how they might be able to get it in the next 8 years, so we'll see if that happens.
That's crazy.
I don't know if it's hard for me to trust. And this is what sucks too. When the Dire Wolf news came out, I didn't feel any type of way because it's like, no, this isn't real. Yeah. And I still have that little thought in my head. I know it's real, but it's like, what the fuck?
All right, we're gonna get into the controversy part. Yes. But before we do that, let us know in the comments, do you think that these animals are dire wolves or not? Do you consider them yourself dire wolves?
Dude, can you believe we're getting sponsored by the biggest reptile company yet?
I can. We just gotta tell Yoshii, see what he thinks.
All right, Yoshii.
Oh my god, this is not what it looks like.
This video is sponsored by Morph Market, the world's largest marketplace for reptiles, amphibians, and even arachnids. Buy directly from verified sellers. Whether you're a first-time keeper or a hobbyist, Morph Market connects you with the best in the hobby.
I use it for shipping.
Always use Morph Market for your next reptile. Let's keep on going.
All right, we all know reptiles need bugs. And what better place to look for your bugs than online, not just any place, at dubia.com. Because on there, not only can you find dubia roaches, you can find hornworms, you can find mealworms, and Discord roaches for your Florida folks. And while you're at it, you can go and scrolling through on their website. They also sell really awesome front open enclosures, super easy to build. So this is a nice example of one of their 4x2s, and I'm currently working on saving up to get some of their 4x4s, so these little carpet pythons can get nice and big and look awesome.
And of course, support the boys by becoming a member. It's one of the best ways. You could also check out modernreptileshop.com. We have different merch items and all that jazz. Okay, so the thing that people are having an issue with is that, so it was 20 something or other pieces of DNA that they put in. 20
that they used to kind of complete the genome to make what they made.
Exactly. So people are saying, all right, guys, it's not really a dire wolf. Okay? Can you pull up the video that Tino sent us? It's not really a dire wolf. Okay? It's a hybrid at best. It's 0.001% dire wolf. It's not really the thing that you guys are thinking. This is not bringing an animal back from extinction. This is not a resurgence of this animal. This is a farce. Yeah, go ahead and play that.
Science is full of shit until it's been peer-reviewed. And I'm saying this in regards to the dire wolf that's not actually a dire wolf. Because come 2021, scientists published a study that showed that gray wolves and dire wolves are not closely related to each other. In fact, the last common ancestor they shared was about 5 million years ago, and the reason that they look so similar is because of convergent evolution, where two species evolved similar traits entirely independently from each other. Part of the result of that study is that now we have to actually rethink what a dire wolf even looks like, because up until that point, we had been basing our idea of dire wolves on gray wolves, which we now know are not closely related to each other. So the Colossal team, they don't actually care about the specific definitions of what makes a dire wolf a dire wolf. If it looks like a dire wolf, then it is a dire wolf. But we actually don't know what a dire wolf would really look like based on that 2021 study because we had been basing them on gray wolves. And then on top of that, the Colossal team says that they actually have new evidence that shows that dire wolves and gray wolves actually had an interbreeding event about 2 to 3 million years ago, and that they are more closely related than that 2021 study thought. The problem is that this study has not been put through peer review at all, and now they are publicizing it in the media. Peer review is when scientists review each other's work and make sure that it is credible and sound science. And the reason that is so important is because science does not exist in a vacuum with only one person working on it. We have to ensure that many people can come to the same consensus and agree that what you're presenting not only is free from bias, but that your data makes sense and that this is legitimate science. And when you publicize data before actually putting it through the peer review process, all of that goes out the window because now everybody is going to remember what you said and not whether or not this paper actually passes peer review, and also what edits and changes that peer review asks you to make in order to make this more credible and sound science. So not only is the dire wolf not a dire wolf, but this is also shit science by all means. Now you have scientists that were, yes, on the original 2021 paper, but now work for a company that is ultimately profit driven. They have an extreme amount of bias to want to actually make this data fit their narratives that dire wolves and gray wolves actually are closely related, because then that means that the dire wolf is a dire wolf. And that's a problem. That's how fraud happens. How science comes under scrutiny because we don't stick to the processes that keep us legitimate. The processes that have made science stand the test of time. And you're throwing science that has not been peer reviewed into the ringer, into the media to sensationalize it, which completely delegitimizes the entire institution of science. We have peer review for a reason. I'm just honestly so disappointed.
All right.
I see the point.
Before we give our opinions, are we pro or against the fact that these are dire wolves?
I'm neutral.
I am a dreamer. Those are fucking dire wolves. Everybody can go fuck themselves. Chuck?
I'm very neutral as well. I haven't looked into the whole process of it, but they do look like very similar to just a wolf.
Yeah, I'm very neutral mostly because I'm just cautious. I'm like, okay, let's see how things play out. Who knows? They are planning on making more. Those might look different. We'll see how that goes. But this is still an evolving science.
Yeah, and
so it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, this is it.
I don't know that.
No one
guy.
can know that.
But if he's like anything like Forrest Galante, for example, they'll fake anything for attention.
They reference Forrest in the thing.
Yeah, like he's a faker. So I don't think I trust it.
They run off a lot of excitement.
Yeah,
and that makes it a little less.
Forrest found all these extinct animals. When you look into it, he stole all the credit from actual scientists that were doing the thing. So like that just gives me like iffy vibes about anybody that is close to any of those people. You know what I mean? Because then Forrest quickly just goes out and like promotes it as well. And I don't trust Forrest as it is because he's a faker. Oh, for attention? I don't know. So maybe it is, maybe it's not. I have a feeling it might not be. It just looks too much like a regular wolf.
Okay,
and every skull we've gotten, like this kind of thing, when they die, you might be able to look at the skull and be like,
Oh, because what you're saying is that the samples might be fraud.
Yeah. Like I think like the truth will come out.
I found it interesting that something that he said in the episode was that like the Smithsonian and these like museums and stuff like that have a lot of these records is like it really is like a movie. Like you go to like a downstairs basement, they have all these corridors and they have all these files of like secret stuff, and then like that's how they have a piece of shit from this and the shit from that and this or that. I found that very cool. So which makes me a little bit, I mean, not that I completely disagree with what you just said, but it makes me a little bit skeptical about it because I'm just like, but I mean, these are the places that are holding our history, and for them to just have like a shit sample and just like have something that's like not actually what it is, it's not impossible, but I don't know if I 100% believe that, I do kind of think that if they had if it was stored there that this was a dire wolf, I kind of like lean towards the fact that the skull maybe was that. You get me?
Yeah, I mean, the skull is a dire wolf. That's not the argument. The argument is what you created. Is it a dire wolf?
But I'm saying it, I guess I was more referencing what I thought you were saying, was that, like, the original samples weren't that.
No, I'm saying the original samples probably were
Okay.
100. Like I would put it at 100% that the samples were. What
Okay.
I'm saying is to like edit it and make a wolf go through the process of making a dire wolf. After like that process is very hard to pull off and very hard to prove that you pulled it off.
If these animals breed, is that incest?
Yes.
Yes, it would be.
Because they're cloned off the same animal, aren't they not?
Yep.
They're all siblings.
Yep.
Wait. So this is something that I'm trying to gather right now. If they are clones of an animal,
Yep.
they should all be the same sex.
No.
No.
No?
No.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Look at twins.
Are twins clones? Twins are not clones.
They pretty much a lot of twins are literally the same gene until the sex.
But they're fraternal twins.
Depends which ones, yeah.
man, I don't know.
We need a scientist. Forrest Gallant to come on the...
Oh my
No,
god.
but for real, like
Yeah.
twins, a lot of twins have very similar DNA
Yeah.
all the way onto the sex.
Interesting.
So no, it doesn't have to be. It's like X20. What is it? X24.
Oh,
and Wolverine?
X-23.
23. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Wolverine.
But that's fiction.
Oh
But
my
it's based on
God.
reality. The only thing that changed in the movie, they didn't have enough genes to make a Logan.
Wait, what? How? They made the clone.
Yeah, but they didn't have enough to make a man.
No,
So they
but
made
they
it-
had
they
a
did.
clone
They
of
had-
Logan.
Yeah, after she was
Oh.
created at whenever the fuck it was. Is what they said when they created her.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then after that, they created an actual Logan because they had enough because they captured him.
Logan, great movie. You guys should watch it.
Yeah. So yes, they can be clones and be different genders, just like twins are different genders and have exactly the same
Yes.
DNA.
Interesting. So I wonder if the goal is to get them to breed or something. I don't know.
He
I don't know.
had said he was gonna bring other ones. He wants
Yeah.
a bigger pack, so
That-
maybe
as
they
far
have
as that
other
goes.
genes of another one or something.
Yeah.
But and you can also edit things nowadays, so they probably edit it into be a little
Yeah.
bit different.
And just put it back in
whatever.
the computer real quick.
Yeah, literally, bro. Upgrade. So yeah, I have a feeling the truth will come out,
Yeah.
and it will just be a little bit because, like, she's right. It has to be peer reviewed.
Yeah. And
That's
he
just what
did-
science is.
Yeah, of course.
The guy, the Colossal CEO guy, did go over pretty much that pushback because the academia stuff. Like, it was very hard for their stuff to get reviewed, without bias because of internal ego politics within the science world.
Yeah, but that's
not
also
that it's
an
all
excuse.
like that. It is true. That is an excuse.
That's just a quick excuse you can make. So I also don't trust you because of it. There has to be a scientist out there that is willing to be like, yeah, I'll check this out.
It's
see what it is.
crazy. I like for real. Like I'll be scrolling and it'll be like pro direwolf against direwolf, pro direwolf.
Yeah,
against
I just started
It's
seeing
like
the against
50-50.
direwolf stuff today. Like
Yeah.
literally
I
a couple
don't
minutes
really
before we
care.
started.
You also made just a wolf. It looks like just a wolf.
Yeah.
A different wolf.
It looks like just a wolf. If you do a woolly rhino, I'm in. But you just made a wolf.
Baby
You're not
steps.
making anything that is not actually here.
What if they just get like a regular ass, like an alive right now rhino and put the mammoth gene?
That is a move. That probably is something they
Oh
do.
my god.
But then it's not the thing. What, look at this guy fucking freaking out right now.
no, because it's like I can only see that going wrong.
Yeah.
Because then you're gonna start saying, well, you're putting elephant DNA in the rhino and this and that and the other. It's like, bro, you're playing with genetic Legos at this
Yeah.
point. These animals are not going to be exactly what they used to be. They're GMOs.
Yeah.
They are GMOs
That he does say that in
through
there.
and through. Yeah, like he said it himself. It's like it's funny. Like sometimes they sometimes go off of the hype of them doing it and all that stuff, and then sometimes they go against it. And it's like, yeah, this isn't exactly the thing that we used to have back in the day, but it's like I don't know,
They seem
go back
very
and forth.
because they're excited, but seem very realistic, and they have
Yes.
their own. They accept the nuance. They
Yes,
accept.
yes.
They accept the conversation, but they, their thing is like what. They need the break between philosophy and science.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be some kind of symbiosis between this
And
to either accept that this is a reality or not. Finding the right substrate is a paramount part of reptile keeping. And if you're looking for the best cocoa option, we recommend Cocoa to Go. Cocoa can be used for reptiles, amphibians, and even plants, so they're perfect for any kind of setup. So we make sure to use Cocoa to Go. Let them know that the Reptiles With Podcast sent you. I'm kind of cool with the reality of it, man. Mind you, I don't think that we should be bringing back everything under the sun.
Yeah.
But it'd be cool. It'd be cool to
Yeah,
have some other
I
things
just think
running
people
around.
are going to use it for evil very quickly.
Didn't North America
Yeah.
have our own big cats other
Yes.
than the panthers?
Cheetahs.
Yes, we used to have cheetahs. Fucking coolest thing that I'm so glad they talked about. So, you guys know pronghorn, right?
No.
Yep.
So,
Explain
you don't know
it
what
to
a
me.
pronghorn is?
Explain it to me.
Okay, you don't know what a pronghorn is.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know what a
So,
pronghorn is.
Pronghorn
Explain it to me.
is, you know what a mountain goat is?
No, I don't know what a mountain goat. Explain
Okay.
it to me.
I can't explain. Okay, fine.
Mountain goat's
So-
its own thing. You're fucked.
No, that's why.
You're
so,
fucked.
Mountain goat and pronghorn, two
Okay.
ungulates that we have here in the States and Canada that are their own thing.
Okay.
They're their own thing. They're not deer. They're not antelope. They're kind of like a weird in between, sort
Okay.
of, kind of. They are, more so the pronghorn, they are adapted for a lifestyle that they no longer need.
Uh-huh.
So pronghorn,
Fucking speed.
if you didn't know, they are the fastest land animal in the States. I think in North America, 55 or like 60 something miles an hour. They're fast as fuck. And they're these little antelope looking guys that look awesome and they're fast as fuck. Why are they fast as fuck? Because back in the day when they were, main characters in the North American biome, there was a little thing called an American cheetah.
Uh-huh.
Cheetahs are fast, we know this. And
Really?
they used to hunt them. That was their main thing. And now that the American cheetah went extinct, they're just hanging out. They're doing their
They're
thing.
just fast for no fucking reason.
They're just fast to flex at this point. And you could say something similar about the California condor. That's another animal that's, you could argue,
should be extinct.
should be extinct already, because their whole shtick was to eat all the big ass dead shit that used to die all the time, because there used to be animals
Mammoth.
everywhere back in the day. Mammoths, the rhinos, the
Enough.
camels.
Yeah.
People always forget that we had camels first.
Yeah.
Camels and horses, that was us.
And now
and then they left
eat
us.
fucking seals.
They eat seals and they're coughing.
Yeah, they have issues.
Yeah,
with
they
it.
got issues and they're on their way out. It's a sad thing to see, but it's also a very, I think we're really lucky to see that happen in real time, because this is something that
We might not see them go.
Who knows?
No, I don't think so. Bro.
Colossal
knows?
be like condors live forever now.
Yeah, but it's it's an interesting
we
thing to see.
added
This is
we added miscellaneous DNA for them to be vegetarian.
Oh my god! And that's
we
the
added
point.
tortoise DNA.
And that goes right
Redfoot
back to
face.
the morals and the philosophy. That goes straight back to the morals and philosophy, because at this point you're literally playing God
Yeah.
with
Yep.
genetics, with
It
your
is-
little computer.
That would go against conservation.
Of course it
and,
would, yeah.
Nature itself.
What is that balance? You know,
Yeah.
What really is that?
And again, this seems like a very expensive and a very highly nuanced solution for conservation and preservation and all that stuff, which are there some benefits? Of course there are some benefits that they're only going to be beneficial if they're implemented the way that these people are talking about it, and if they're doing it right.
If you're responsible.
If you're
with
responsible with it. But here's the problem.
We're humans.
And it's a private thing too, which
Yeah.
means that they have a lot of leeway and they have a lot of freedom to do what they want. Not that they would do this kind of stuff, but it's not out of the question.
Yeah.
It's still possible. And it's also just the situation. We're bringing extinct animals back from extinction.
So when
That's very easy to abuse.
Yeah. So when he was talking about whether or not you should consider these dire wolves or not, he asked Joe. He's like, "Oh, what are they going to visit in Jurassic Park? What are
What
they
do you
gonna
mean?
what are they gonna go see in Jurassic Park in the movie? What is the point of it? What are they gonna go see?
They're going to go see stuff that's not supposed to be there.
No, but what
dinosaurs.
okay, but are they dinosaurs?
No.
Are they? That's the thing. That's the question. Because in Jurassic World, they make their own shit. But people are saying that this is dinosaurs. We've accepted that these are dinosaurs. But then they did it off of a thing of a chicken. So
Yes.
is it dinosaurs? It's so what is this balance?
I think it's way different than that. That's just a cheap way out, because it comes from a chicken, yeah, but it doesn't look like a chicken. It physically is not a chicken.
Got you.
Doesn't look like it, doesn't act like it, doesn't eat like it, doesn't move like it. That is not a chicken.
But does it taste like it?
Shut the fuck up. This is what I'm saying. A dire wolf, it's no such thing as, it's a dire wolf because, it is. You know what I mean? It's
Fuck.
just because there's genes of dire wolf doesn't make it a dire wolf either. In fact, 14% of people have Neanderthal DNA. Does that make you a Neanderthal? No. It just means you carry their DNA. That's it. That's all that means.
I'm carrying that DNA, buddy. Listen, but to tie it into the reptile stuff, They're definitely not doing this shit for the creepy crawlies. I'll tell you that.
No, fuck
It's
no.
only the fucking fuzzy
Fuck
and the
no.
cute,
the fuzzy
and
wuzzy cutie stuff with emotions.
yeah.
Man, Are
They're
there-
not- they're
What
not-
reptile you want back?
bro, the Rodriguez day gecko, the big
Yeah, he
ass
did
one
name
from New
that.
Zealand.
Stupid.
That big ass
Stupid.
gecko, dude.
Stupid.
Dude, you're literally sleeping on something amazing.
Stupid.
I was like, what is he sleep? He's not even sleeping right now.
Bro, have you seen the New Zealand green gecko?
Stupid.
You think that? You think that one's stupid?
I think it'd be stupid. It's a little gecko. Let him. Like,
No,
it's
listen,
just
listen.
To bring back, bro. To bring back for funsies. That's not fun at all.
Not for funsies. Not for
Tiki's would just
funsies.
breed them in a rack. Like what the fuck?
No, listen,
dude?
if we
no,
breed-
I don't really know. You can. You will not sell me on a little gecko, bro. You will not sell me on a gecko.
Bro, this is him.
All right. Do we have any other notes about this dire wolf shit?
I'm sure we do, but honestly,
No. What is it? What is it? What do you
no,
guys?
no. I can't,
They're
listen, my
fucking
mind's
cute.
fine.
They're fucking
They're
sick.
cool. They're here. Treat them with respect.
Yeah.
As far as what they're talking about with Colossal stuff, they seem to be doing things very cautiously and very carefully, but only time will tell how they choose to go about their research and their
Yep.
work. And honestly, all I can say is I just hope that things go the way they think they say they will. But you know, they can talk the talk, but we'll see what the results look like. Because again, I can't stop saying this. It just seems like a very difficult and very complicated and expensive and weird. Not weird, but like,
It is weird.
you think it's weird? Well, yeah, it's a little weird. They're bringing back stuff like that, but I think it is not my expected response towards like conservation and stuff. And actually, something I did forget to talk about. They talked about this on the Rogan thing. You guys know about like the plant vault that we have?
No.
So we have a plant vault that pretty much keeps specimens of a lot of plants, basically like agriculture and like natural stuff. There isn't that for animals, apparently, at least for like stuff that we have here in North America. So if there's one good thing that I can see them actually doing, like realistically, besides what they're doing with like, you know, the animals they're trying to bring back, because
carrying
honestly, I
DNA.
feel like that's more of a vanity thing. That really does seem like a complicated excuse for them to make what they want
Okay, continue.
because they're private. But anyway, they also plan on doing an animal vault like that, which I could see going well. Like, yeah, that's something we could go with. But of course, that opens more doors.
Of course.
That can of worms has been open for the past few years already. All I can say is I hope they do things responsibly, and I hope that they can restrain themselves from taking that money from overseas and stuff, because that's something that could happen.
And they'll put tariffs on it.
They'll put tariffs on the fucking dire
Listen.
wolves.
Fuck.
Listen.
Oil money talks.
Let us know how you feel about that in the comment section, y'all. We are in the future. This was the Reptiles
Yeah.
with Podcast.